After the world ended, survivors were stuck in pods, talking only by video calls. 5 years went by since the virus started, and people still lived alone in bunkers, cut off from the world. Each bunker was made for one person, and the only way to talk to others was through a system that allowed group video calls with up to 7 people. Food came as a powder full of nutrients, packed with all needed vitamins and minerals. Fake lighting followed a day and night cycle to help keep sleep habits healthy. Each person had to use an exercise bike every day. It kept them fit and also made power for the bunker. The bike became a key part of their daily routine. 7 survivors who had helped one another for years used code names from U.S. cities: Orlando, Boston, Atlanta, Chicago, Phoenix, Denver, and Houston. Their fragile peace was broken when Orlando made a shocking reveal. He killed people before the outbreak. The group was shocked and horrified, but Orlando showed no regret. He even seemed to enjoy upsetting the others, always bringing up the bleak world outside. He was cruelest to Atlanta, mocking her by saying her kids were probably dead somewhere in the infected world. His actions go too far. Boston, the group's unofficial leader, calls for a vote to cut Orlando off from the system for good. Once removed, there's no way to rejoin. Boston, Atlanta, and Chicago vote yes. Phoenix is strongly against it, saying no one should be judged for their past. Denver, as usual, backs her up. Houston can't decide. He doesn't want to be the one to make the final choice. Finally, sick of the fighting, Orlando offers to be removed. But before he goes, he throws out more cruel words and bleak warnings. Feeling the pressure, Denver finally gives in and cuts Orlando off the system. It's done. That night, Phoenix can't sleep, full of guilt and fear. Denver calls her for a private chat. She opens up, saying she doesn't feel right judging others for what they did before. Denver calmly tells her that Orlando is still safe in his Florida bunker. He's just not part of them anymore. They end the call with hands on the screen, whispering good night and soft I love yous. 8 months later, things have clearly gotten worse for the group. Phoenix still can't sleep and keeps having bad dreams about her dead mother. Houston's sleep cycle is a mess due to errors in his system. Everyone's tense and fights happen more often. Atlanta turns to prayer for peace, and for the first time in ages, Phoenix prays with her. After praying, they check the daily stats like always. First their own health info, then the global data from all bunkers. The numbers are troubling. Out of 500,000 original survivors, fewer than 490,000 are left. Around 6 people are dying each day. Chicago says tracking all this dark info is useless. As another fight starts, he stops it by playing an old training video from Nayan, the woman who built the bunkers, a video they've all watched thousands of times. That night, Phoenix and Denver talk again, lying in bed with their screens side by side. They start trying out their real names instead of the city code names they've used for years. But the next morning brings a strange surprise. The stats screen starts glitching, then shuts off completely. Right then, Houston's sleep control system also begins to fail. Phoenix starts to think that removing Orlando may have broken something in the system. She says, "Think about it. We're meant to be 7, but now we're only 6. The others don't agree with bringing Orlando back, and Denver says he doesn't even know how to do it technically. Phoenix gets upset that he won't even try, and chooses to stop talking to the group for a while. Worried, Denver reaches out to her in private. He tells her he really wants to help. Touched by his honesty, Phoenix chooses to tell him about her dark past. Her mom died long before the outbreak. When the lottery happened, she was in jail. She never met her dad. He died when she was small. Her mom raised her alone, but worked non-stop, so they rarely spent time together. On her own, Phoenix joined a bad crowd and started using drugs. It led to lying, stealing, and worse, addiction. At 17, she ran away from home. When she came back, her addiction was even worse. One awful night, high and paranoid, she thought her mom had taken her drugs. In a blind rage, she grabbed a kitchen knife and killed the only person who had ever really loved her. Later, she found the drugs right where she had hidden them in her room. Now Denver sees why Phoenix was so upset about voting Orlando out, though he still feels their crimes are not the same at all. Hoping to help her deal with the guilt, he decides to try reconnecting with Orlando. Denver spends hours working to bring the link back. Finally, late at night, he gets Orlando's feed running again, but what they see shocks them. His bunker is totally empty. When they tell the rest of the group, Boston is furious that Denver and Phoenix did this in secret. Houston panics, saying Orlando must be the one messing with his sleep system. Phoenix gives a calmer idea. Maybe Orlando tried to run away. Atlanta says the doors are sealed, but the truth is, none of them have ever tried to open theirs since they moved in. Without telling the others, Phoenix decides to try hers. Phoenix, don't. They keep trying to stop her, warning that a deadly virus might get in if she opens it. Later, Phoenix and Boston talk in private about the rising tension. Phoenix says it might be time for new leadership, but Boston pushes back, saying she's starting to sound like Denver, a person he doesn't trust. Boston admits that Denver reminds him of his dad, a man who seemed kind and charming, but was actually cold and dangerous underneath. Phoenix argues back, saying she trusts Denver and knows him well. But even after defending him, she can't shake a feeling of doubt. She starts rewatching old clips of their time together, and something about them feels off. It makes her wonder, did Orlando leave behind any personal recordings? She asks Denver to check Orlando's private files, and he agrees. At first, the videos look normal, just Orlando doing daily stuff, working out, eating. But the last one is deeply disturbing. Orlando is on an exercise machine when the screen turns to static. Through the noise, his panicked screams break through, raw and full of fear. When the image returns, his bunker is empty, and the door is wide open. Since the video lasts over 5 hours, Denver skips to the end. There, he sees the bunker door slowly shut by itself. When they show the others what they found, a paranoid Houston shares a crazy theory that Orlando planned the whole bunker setup and faked the outbreak. Boston says maybe the video was edited, but even he doesn't believe that fully. Phoenix brings up a new idea. They should think about escaping. It's clear now that the bunkers aren't safe anymore. As always, Boston says they should vote on it, but Houston doesn't join the talk at all, and Atlanta says this isn't the right time to make such a big move. That night, Phoenix checks every part of her bunker and finds a small, loose panel in the wall. As she tries to open it, her screen suddenly turns on with a terrifying image. Houston banging his head against the wall again and again, then laughing wildly as he totally loses control in the middle of the room. A dark shape shows up on the screen just before it cuts to static. A few seconds later, the feed comes back, but Houston's bunker is empty. After his vanishing, even Boston, who doubted everything, has to admit they're not safe anymore. Phoenix tells Denver about her fears, then tries to sleep, only to dream of someone breaking into her bunker. When she wakes up, she realizes she isn't alone. A rat had slipped in through the panel she found the night before. She decides to look deeper. Reaching into the gap, her hand finds only empty space. When the others check their own walls, they all find the same kind of panel, each hiding a strange, open void. A space like that shouldn't even exist in an underground bunker. Another loud argument begins, but this time, Phoenix steps up and takes charge. She naturally becomes the group's new leader. She tells Denver to try contacting other survivors, while the rest search for ways to escape. Chicago takes a passive view, saying they should just wait it out. He refuses to help with the search. When nothing turns up, Atlanta makes a bold move. She breaks the pipe that sends their food powder, hoping it leads somewhere. But like the wall panels, it reveals nothing, only a massive, empty void. Suddenly, static takes over Atlanta's screen. A dark figure appears, and within seconds, she's gone, just like Houston. The shock is too much for Chicago. Unable to handle the horror, he breaks down and decides to end it all. When they pull back his blanket, the others see he had been hiding food powder, starving himself for days. He used the blanket as a noose and hanged himself from the ceiling pipe. Once the few survivors get past the latest shock, Denver shares what he found in the bunker's computer system. He was able to access video clips of other people outside their group. The videos had no sound. Most of the people in other bunkers seemed fairly normal, but many, like Chicago, were clearly falling apart from being alone for so long. But the biggest shock is this. Denver only found files for 1,000 people, not the 500,000 they were told about. That means there are only 1,000 bunkers, and they had been lied to about how many were saved. Shaken by the truth, Phoenix decides she'd rather break out on her own terms than sit and wait for some unknown force to come for her. She comes up with a plan, use the sharp metal from the broken panels to cut the wires that control the door locks, even if it means losing food and air. She and Denver agree on a place to meet if they make it out. Boston, sticking to his values, says they must take one last vote to honor the group's rules. Once they all agree, the three of them cut their wires at the same time. Alarms go off right away, but the doors begin to open. A staircase appears, but it leads to a blank wall. For a second, they think it's a trap. Then they notice the wall at the top is another hidden door. When they open it, they find a long hallway stretching ahead. It's clear now, they were all in the same building, with their bunkers lined up side by side. Phoenix and Denver share their first kiss, and the three begin exploring. Every door in the hall leads to a bunker just like theirs. Eventually, they reach an exit to the roof, and what they see stuns them. The building is in the heart of a busy working city. Streets are full of life. People are walking, driving, shopping. The world outside looks normal, like the pandemic never even happened. At the only door leading out, 2 guards are posted. Boston, in a brave and selfless move, distracts them so his friends can get away. But Phoenix isn't ready to go, not without the truth. She and Denver sneak into the admin wing of the building, packed with clean offices and filing drawers. As Phoenix digs through piles of papers, Denver finds a wall full of photos. Every person from their group. That's when someone spots them. It's Nayan, the one who built the bunkers. She clearly knows how dangerous Denver is, and she's not taking any risks. Pushed by Phoenix, Nayan finally gives in and tells the shocking truth. This wasn't just some experiment, they were prisoners. The pandemic was completely fake. All the news clips were acted out by hired performers. The people in the bunkers were taken from real prisons and moved into this test facility, drugged with strong sleeping pills hidden in their food. The reason the test was canceled was just as harsh and heartless as everything else. A video of Orlando being kicked out of the group got leaked online, starting a huge public scandal. People were shocked to learn that the prisoners were given kindness, freedom, and comfort. Under pressure from the public, the government shut the whole thing down and ordered that everyone be returned to regular prisons. Denver explodes, furious at Nayan for all her lies and control. She snaps back, saying picking him was her biggest mistake. Each prisoner was carefully chosen through strict mental testing, meant to make sure they wouldn't talk about their real pasts. That way, Nayan could study how each person built a new identity to survive and fit into the fake world around them. When Phoenix asks to know the truth about the others, Nayan tells her everything. Each of them had a dark past. Orlando was a lifelong criminal. His murders were real. Houston was in a gang and killed 20 people himself. Atlanta had severe postpartum psychosis and drowned her kids in a moment of madness. Chicago was a drug user and thief. Boston planned a bank robbery with his 2 brothers, then killed them to keep the cash. And Denver, a serial killer who hunted women on dating apps. 11 victims. Phoenix pulls back in shock, heartbroken by the truth about the people she once saw as friends. But Nayan says the test was still more humane than prison. She gave them a better life, one where they could leave behind their past, create new names, and build real bonds. Before they can say more, guards rush in, shooting stun guns to stop them. Phoenix passes out and wakes up in her bunker with a shadowy shape coming near, but it's only a dream. When she finally wakes for real, she's handcuffed to a chair beside Denver. The talk between them is tense. Phoenix says she can't believe she ever trusted him. Denver says he meant every word, and coldly adds that he loved her as much as he loved his victims. He admits he figured out the truth about the test the moment Phoenix told him her story. With Orlando's confession and his own past, it was easy to see. He never said anything because he found the whole thing darkly fascinating. Phoenix calls him a sociopath. He calmly agrees. The guards pull them into the hall, where the rest of the original group is waiting. Orlando quickly snaps, yelling that everyone else is a hypocrite. Then, all at once, he charges a guard, trying to take his weapon. The wild move sets off a wave of gunfire from the other guards. The last 5 members are sent back to their bunkers, where they wait for transfer, back to prison to finish the sentences they were meant to serve. Chicago's body is taken from his room, and all his things are heartlessly tossed out. But in her room, Phoenix finds 2 items that still matter deeply to her. A photo of her mother, the one she lost in a moment of madness, and the small body of the rat, the only living thing that ever made it into their fake world.